All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the LA Sports Brotherhood. We're going to talk some LA sports. I'm Ryan here with my brother Matthew. Today we're going to talk about the Dodgers starting pitching projections. Matthew, can you tell us who is breaking camp as a starting rotation for us?
Yeah, so day one starter is going to be Tyler Glasnow. Number two, coming over from Japan, is going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Our number three guy as of right now is Bobby Miller. James Paxton is going to be the day four starter, and our day five starter is going to be young Gavin Stone. So, started off, what do you think about the rotation? Is this what you expected? Are you happy with it?
After finding out Sheehan got hurt, I think this is what I was expecting. Is what I was hoping because I don't think Michael Grove's a starting pitcher, and I'm kind of glad that the Dodgers agreed, at least for a little bit, because it started. Even knowing Sheehan was gonna have some time to take to build up back up again early in spring, they were never really trying to extend Grove, and I feel like that was the main competition at that point, Stone or Grove. And honestly, and we'll get into this a little more when we go into individual pitchers, but I would last year wasn't the biggest Stone fan. He didn't his stuff didn't pop as much despite how incredible his minor league stats are, but this spring he's looked really good. So honestly, I think we're in a good spot going in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's good you pointed out Stone because he has looked incredible in spring, and I agree with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of him last year, but overall, I do wish Bueller and Kershaw were healthy, but
Yeah, of
if you were
course.
to show me this, 100% happy with it.
Yeah.
Uh, to me, Glass now, I think is the trade with him has been a little bit disrespected among other fans because I don't think people realize how the potential this guy has.
Yeah. I agree.
You can
And
just
speaking of Glass now, we can start getting into individual projections because I have a specific note that speaks exactly to what you're talking about. So, the narrative with Glass now is that he's always hurt, which, I mean, technically is true, but it's not different injuries. He had one major injury that kept him out for a long period of time, really skews everything. But beyond the injury narrative is that he's never really, people think he's never been good. Like he has great stuff, that's always a thing. Great stuff, he's never put it together. And I was confused by that because I mean, he's a Ray. We see him, but we don't actively watch him. We're Dodger fans. Um, so I wanted to look into it. So I did some digging, baseball reference. Last 60 starts for Tyler Glass now. 332 innings, that averages to about a little over 5 innings a start. 303 ERA, 462 strikeouts, 12.5 Ks per nine, 289 FIP, if that's something you care about, 1.01 whip. And I pulled up a comparison to someone who's considered the greatest pitcher in baseball right now, Garrett Cole. Last 66 starts, so six more starts, 409 innings, 305 ERA, 479 Ks, 10.5 K per nine, an 0.998 whip. Those stats are almost identical. But, of course, the last 60 starts for Glass now is a span of like 5 years, and the last 66 for Garrett Cole is the last 2 years. And that's the biggest thing. Glass now has never been able to be a fully healthy pitcher. He fixed his arm, it blew up on him. He talked about it openly, how much it was hurting just to pitch through, even as he was trying to rehab. And immediately after getting the Tommy John, his arm felt better. And he was great last year. He had a rough couple first starts and then he was great. And really, I'm incredibly excited. I expect nothing but great things. What do you think about Glass now?
yeah, I think it's really important just to people bring up the injuries this, injuries that. He himself has said, he hasn't felt good in a while. And he feels like his arm's finally right. And you pair that stuff with the Dodgers staff, and I mean, I expect nothing but good stuff. And I mean, already you've seen in spring, he's just been incredible. As far as his specific pitch mix, throws really hard, and has great movement. Yeah, he throws the four seam fastball, one of the hardest throwers in the sport, and he has a slider and the curveball. I will say I would like to see a changeup or a splitter of any kind to enhance his pitch mix, and He has been working on it, but as of right now, he throws it 0.3% of the time.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think the obvious. I mean, the strikeout numbers is there, which I'm most excited about because while the Dodgers staff has been incredible for in recent years, I feel like the one thing we've been missing is that
Yeah.
strikeout guy,
It's been so long since we
and
had
he's
someone.
yeah, absolutely, and he's someone I don't have to worry about when it comes to that. And I
Yeah.
mean, I I look at him as more rather than like a project. Some people think, like you said, some people think stuff. Well, need to see him put it together. He has put it together. It's just it hasn't been a full season. And like we said, he finally feels healthy. And I mean, really, to me, the sky is a Cy Young. I mean, I think we can all agree is that level of talent.
Yeah, 100%. Just to speak more to what you're talking about, Baseball Savant percentile rankings last year, whiff percentage, which means literally the amount of times if a batter swings, how many times they don't hit the ball. 96th percentile, 35% of swings from batters were complete whiffs. That's unbelievable. Strikeout percentage, the percent of times the player strikes out at the plate, 97th percentile, 33% of the time he's getting a strikeout in that bat. Those numbers are ridiculous, and we have not had a pitcher like that. Even prime Walker Bueller, he was not striking people out like this. This is a different level of talent. That's why I love Ryan Pepio. I think he's going to be good. You cannot pass up on this level of talent. It's absurd to think about how good he is. How good he can and I think will be. That's how I should put it.
Yeah, and I mean his baseball savant page is just ridiculous, and it's nothing but red. And I mean, what gets me so excited is the extension. 5 years of him. I really think, obviously, Yoshi Yamamoto. Which we'll get into next.
Yeah.
Expect A stuff from him, but I mean, Glass now I'm really high on, and especially for this season, I think he's going to be the one guy, NLDS, game one starter in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely my outlook. So obviously we're really high on him. Let's see what the projections think. This is Steamer projections from Fangraphs. They got him starting 26 games, which would be, let me check this. That would be a career high for games started. Which I mean, I'm expecting more than that, but 26 for 154 innings. I don't know. It's in today's MLB starting pitching, that's kind of what's expected. I will say innings pitched, I need him to qualify. If he doesn't qualify, which means 162 innings pitched in a season, um, he won't get any looks for Cy Young, and I need him to get those looks. So I'm hoping for more innings pitched, but ERA 3.48, 3.36 FIP. Expected, they're projecting them to get 192 strikeouts. Kind of think that's going to be over 200. But yeah, so what do you think with those stats? Would you be cool with that season? Is that a season you're happy with?
I think I wouldn't be mad at it, but me personally, I'm expecting a little more, lower ERA. I mean, it's tough to say when he has been hurt, but I certainly expect more innings, because
Yeah,
I mean, like we touched on, this is the healthiest he's ever felt. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice season, a nice number two, three, and I wouldn't be mad about it. But yeah, I expect the ERA, you know, from somewhere from like a 2.5 to a low three. I think a 3.5 is what he had last year, I believe, and that was coming back from, a significant injury. And, like you said, the first couple starts are rough. So I think if he stays healthy, I think he can have a better year than that.
yeah, definitely. This whole old saying is the first year back, like the first time pitching back from Tommy John is always the toughest in the recovery. And he was a very successful pitcher first year back. So sky's the limit for Tyler Glass now. From there, let's go to our number two pitcher, the most talked about pitching signing in the last decade, probably. Uh, no one that is into baseball does not have opinion on him. We're talking about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I am ridiculously excited to see him pitch. Uh, if anyone has watched Dodger games, any of the spring training games where Yamamoto's pitched, you've heard Tim Everett say it 5,000 times. But NPB, Japanese Baseball League stats, 1.82 ERA, almost 900 innings pitched, over 900 strikeouts over 7 seasons. And that means because he's only 25 now. That's including him pitching professional baseball at 18, 19, 20. These are real hitters. The Japanese league is very good. It's akin to AAA, I think most scouts say, like a little level above AAA at this point, like between AAA and the majors. And he's only 25. If he were, if he just pitched to those numbers in American minor league system, there would be no doubt as to whether or not he's going to be good. But because he's Japanese, for some reason, people don't accept that you can project someone to be this good. Which I do. I think his stuff is incredible. His command is incredible. His command's almost too good. I think we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, I'm super hyped on him, as you can see. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This guy, I mean, he got that contract for a reason, and I mean, I'm glad you touched on the stuff because I mean, it's as perfect as a pitch mix as you get. Yeah, and his numbers, you know, in Japan are just absolutely ridiculous. And I really like what you said about like if he just did this against minor leaguers. And I mean, I'm sure had he gone to the Pirates, people he wouldn't have got as much hate, but you know, it's the Dodgers, of course. There's going to be hate. And you know, you saw that after the first spring start or his second spring start where he struggled. But yeah, as from what we've seen from these three spring starts, you kind of hinted at it. The biggest thing that stands out for me is, I mean, unbelievable control. And you said, you know, maybe too good. And I think you're referring to what I agree with. I do think he needs to be a little bit more willing to throw balls in certain counts. Because I mean, against the Mariners, I believe, I mean, he was just mowing them down, and then you know, certain, especially we saw it especially with the curveball. You know, they started to hit it. Yeah, and another thing is, we expect him to throw a lot of innings. He's had incredible health, and you know, he takes great care of his body. And I mean, at the very least, I expect you know a lot of innings for the season. But I think you know people are as good as MLB is. I think people are overestimating that beginning struggle he's gonna have. While he may struggle early, I think he'll find his groove because like this isn't you know a foreign guy who throws kind of like high 90s and a contact guy. Like he is the real deal, and we saw that in the WBC. I mean, he was incredible there, and I mean, great stuff. Fastball, great. The splitter is one of the best pitches I think we have on the staff,
Yeah.
and I mean, I expect nothing but greatness. What do you think?
Yeah. We talk about this being a little too having too much control, being too willing to live in the strike zone. The only thing I would say is a concern just in terms of his highest end, like his end of the year stats, because I have no doubt in my mind that when we reach even just June, he's going to be fully in a role. But to start the season, I think he's going to have to learn that his fastball, even though he has great spin rate and the rise on it is really good, it's not 99 and doing the same thing. It's like 95, 96. And if you're pounding the zone constantly, and your secondary stuff is so good that they won't even offer at it early in the count. So if you're just going fastball, eventually people are going to tune into it. That's like you mentioned the Mariners start. No one was hitting home runs. He wasn't getting blasted, but it was fastball inside, but it was inside on the strike zone. It wasn't like in on the hands, single. Then he tried to lead with the curveball, but the curveball was a strike. So I just think he's going to learn that it's okay for him specifically to fall behind in the count a little bit and try to get some early swings and misses as opposed to like get me over strikes because his stuff is so good and his control is so pinpoint that if he is down early, he could fight his way back. He needs to be able to trust himself a little more, I think. And that's a theme that we're going to see, at least for me anyway. We're going to see that with the next couple of pitchers because I feel the same way about Bobby Miller, honestly. But with Yamamoto, uh, I'm expecting great things. But let's see what Fangraphs has to say. So they have him projected as throwing the most innings for the entire staff. I actually tend to agree with that. 29 starts, 183 innings, 200 strikeouts. I also agree. I think he'll get to 200. 28 home runs. I didn't check that for Glass but this is also the most on the staff. So it's interesting to a 3.97 ERA. So right off the bat for me, 3.97 is I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, that's not cutting it to me. But again, I don't think that's happening. But yeah, with those numbers, what are you thinking? You accepting that or how you feel about that?
Me, no. I mean, to have this type of stuff with that, I mean, just pinpoint accuracy, I think he's gonna have a better year than that. The, I mean, to add on to a little more what you're saying, I would, seeing it, the main thing I'm probably concerned about is, fastballs in the zone, fastballs in the zone. Eventually, their second, third at bats, they'll get to that. But I think he'll learn. And the other thing is, if, he leaves the fastball over the plate, home run, one of the good things is, like we said, his control is unbelievable. So I don't think walks will be an issue. So like if it's home runs, it's going to be solo home runs at most, 2-run home runs.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
but even then, him giving up the most home runs on the staff, I think, like you said, in the starts we've seen, it's been singles and singles and singles. But I mean, I think that's low, especially because the biggest thing to me is this isn't some prospect that throws hard. This isn't some super young guy that has a great curve. He is one of the best pitchers in the world with accuracy, with stuff. Like he is proven, and he's just gonna have to adjust to MLB talent, and he'll fill things out. He'll learn that he can get behind in the count, like you said, because I mean that accuracy can get back, and I think that'll be his biggest battle. Is maybe he'll feel the need to throw fastballs, down 2-0 or 3-0, and then that they'll do some damage on that. But even if these things happen, I think that'll be more of a learning curve, and then he'll get better as it goes on. So 3.9, there's no way I see that happening. And if it did happen, I would be upset. I mean, we are paying a lot of money for this guy, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, same here. I understand projections. Projections also, yeah, just a little disclaimer because we're going to be using this for the next sets of previews. Projections are never as high on any player. It could, like Juan Soto is not going to like you can expect high nines. It's not real. That's not going to be what the projection is. So it's always going to be on the low end of expectations because they just run a million simulations and tech whatever percentage it is. But even with that said, yeah, 397 is not going to cut it. But also, I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, we got Yoshi there, and we can get into our number three. One of the most important pitchers, maybe honestly the most important pitcher in terms of the ceiling we have on this team, Bobby Miller. Bobby, I love Bobby. I think he's great. I love the I don't know, I just love his presence on the mound. Everything about him feels like he's going to be elite. But he really wasn't last year. It was good. Rookie year. He called up early. And he performed really well. I really appreciate how much he fought, on the mound. The only thing is he doesn't really strike anybody out. And I'm sure you're going to get into this. Actually, yeah, you can get it. What are your thoughts about Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, unbelievable stuff. The velocity, the movement, it's all there, and the pitch mix. And it's not just a guy who has two pitches trying to add a third. He has three, four elite pitches, and it really raises the question. Why doesn't he strike people out? I mean, his chase rate, his whiff rate, and his K rate are all kind of league average. And I mean, a 100 fastball like that, a changeup like that, isn't league average. And watching him, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is that control, and like that control we just talked about with Yamamoto. If he can pitch the way Yamamoto pitches, like locating and knowing when to throw what, I think that could really raise his K numbers, because I think a lot of times he gets behind in the count, and kind of like we said with Yamamoto, he feels the need, like he has still a fastball there. So, and I mean, a guy like him who throws 100, the ball's gonna fly off the bat. So if he gets behind and counts 2-0, 3-0, the hitter's gonna be expecting fastball, and they're gonna jump on it. So I think a lot of it a lot of it was kind of, rookie pitcher, and I think a lot of it will get better. But I like to see him, trust his off speed more, like in even when he's behind in the count, because the more he mixes it up, the more the hitter won't expect fastball every time. And he, like I said, he has the stuff. It's not like a two pitch guy. So I just think I'm pretty sure right now he throws the fastball like close to 50% of the time, and I think it shouldn't be that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think it should be that high, especially when he has the pitches.
no,
And I mean, I don't think it's something where like he can, he's not just in one season, he's not going to go to a glass now type of K rate, but just a little more because strikeouts really are important, especially in the postseason. And a guy like him, I think it's reasonable to expect more strikeouts out of him. And I think, if the strikeouts go up, the ERA will go down, and everything will be better.
yeah,
But yeah, what
100%.
do you think?
It's I there's kind of a debate going on, not just about Bobby, but baseball in general, new school people, old school people, where there's not an emphasis on strikeouts for people that get tired of talking about strikeouts all the time, and it's like they think an out is just an out, and for results that is true, but if you replace 50 ground balls that are outs with 50 strikeouts, that's 50 less times that an error can be made. A little chopper is getting through. Like those really matter, especially when you're ahead in the count, which Bobby was. He's is ahead ahead in the count a lot. So when you have this elite stuff with spin that is at the very least above average, I actually don't know how to find the league average spin, but it looks like he's over 100 RPMs more on his fastball than the league average, which is a lot. That's the amount that people were using Spider Tack to try to achieve. So it's considerable. But when you're up 0-2, and you're talking about getting behind at the count, I 100% agree. For me, Bobby's biggest issue was he was up 1-2, 0-2, like commanding leads in the count. And he was he was getting fly balls or ground balls, or he was even giving up hits. I think the biggest culprit for me last year was his two strike hits that he was giving up. Just too many for me. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that from any pitcher, but for someone like him, I need him to pick it up a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you touched on that too. And it's kind of similar between being down in the count and being ahead in the count. It's definitely more frustrating when you're ahead in the count. But yeah, I think a 1-2, 0-2 count, fastball in the zone it's unacceptable. I mean, there's no way about it for his stuff and his pitch mix. I mean just the game yesterday, we saw I think like 2 to 3 Ks with the fastball up in the zone. I mean, it was against a Korean team, not MLB, but I mean, still, you look at the pitch mix, and I like to think that the golden pitch mix. You have the fastball, obviously. You have a slider to break away from righties, and then you have the changeup or splitter to break away from lefties. And he has all three of them. So I mean, it's unacceptable to have a pitch in the zone because he's effective against righties, he's effective against lefties. 0-2, he has to be better, and that I mean, obviously, that's when the strikeouts come when they're down in the count. So yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. I think
yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
yeah, and in spite of all of that, I don't want it to sound like we're negative on him because genuinely, we're really excited for him. And I even with all of the non lack of strikeouts and pitching to contact too much, he was still an actively very good pitcher for his rookie year. Like a 3.76 ERA for a guy that was forced up probably maybe a little bit too early. Like that's really good. 124 innings, only 12 home runs, less than a home run per 9, which is a big thing. Like the same thing we were talking about with Yamamoto where in the spring his poor starts, he wasn't getting blown up. He was getting ding 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 and then a run. It's the same thing with Bobby. He's not getting shelled. But because he lives in the zone a little too much, he lives in the middle of the zone too much because with Yamamoto, he's pumping 95. Even when he's precise, someone can get there. Bobby, actually, I have the site here. Bobby was 98th percentile in fastball velo. Like, only 2% of the entire MLB threw harder than him. And Bobby's a starting pitcher. A lot of those are relievers like Joan Duran that are pumping 102. They pitch for 20 pitches. Bobby's giving us time, and he's living there. So if he can be more precise and live on the corners or live out of the zone but in a reachable way, it's gonna change the outlook. And looking at his spring training stats, he hasn't been bad, but 8 innings, only 4 strikeouts. It's a bit tough. I believe in him. Even I think last year is his worst case, and if we get last year again, he's helping the team. So I'm not mad at it. I just think his ceiling is so high that we really, really would like. I think we can get a lot more from him. Also, I was going to bring this up
Yeah,
earlier, but oh, sorry to cut you off. But just really quick, I think a lot of Dodger fans recognized further in starts, he kind of fell off a little bit. Fit ERA in the fifth inning, 7.23. ERA in the sixth inning, 4.3. ERA in the seventh inning, high fours again. So yeah, just the longevity, but that's actually rookie stuff. That I think will get better. But just that's a big thing. If he can get that down a little bit, sky's the limit. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's important, we are saying this because we are so high in him.
Yeah,
We're not mad and we expect all this stuff to get better and, be because I mean, he really has ace potential. I mean, the stuff is ridiculous. And I do expect him to get better. Yeah, and I mean, we talk about rookie stuff, he wasn't the regular rookie. I mean, he wasn't we expected him to come up, and contribute, but we didn't expect him to be starting game 2 of the NLDS.
yeah,
Now he's had a full spring like as the guy, and he's knowing he's going to be the starter. I think the sky's the limit. I mean, we look at we look at the past. I mean, Bueller when he first came up, like first couple starts. I mean, he was terrible. We saw it happened to Stone last year. He was terrible, and I think for Bobby Miller in his first ever season to do that, it's. I mean, like you said, if that happens, he helps the team. But we both think that he can be, really special. And I think at the end of the year, if he's your number 3 guy, I think that's what we expect.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah. So get into projections for Bobby. Steamer has him pitching 26 games, or starting, I should say, 26 games, 150 innings, 150 strikeouts. So actually, that would even be a better strikeout output than last year. To a 4.01 ERA. Right off the bat, honestly, I'm not expecting a huge bump in strikeouts. Just because, like Matthew, you were saying, it's tough. The year to year, it's not really possible. It's not feasible to just increase the strikeout percentage a lot. Um, but 4.01 ERA, I don't think that's his floor. Well, this is probably his floor. Like I think this is the worst case scenario that I would take from him. But I think he's going to be low threes this year. I think he's going to take a step. He has more time to grow as a pitcher. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not thrilled about the projections, but no one really is. It's kind of the point of projections. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're gonna sound like broken records, we about disagreeing with the projections. Like you said, it's never gonna be too high. But I think, rookie year having a 3.76, I think fours. I really don't think that's gonna happen. If it did, I think we'd be in some trouble because we do expect a lot of things from him.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I mean, we're not saying like the floor is. At least I'm not saying the floor is like he's gonna be top 3 in the Cy Young. Like there is to me there's a like a with Glass now to me I think the floor is not that low and the ceiling is really high. With Miller there still is a floor because
yeah,
we've yet to. I mean, like we said, he's a rookie. There is a possibility where he doesn't live up to that ace potential. But I think at the very least with all these problems, I mean the stuff can take him, to 3.5, 3.6 at the least. But
yeah,
yeah, for and the games, correct me if I'm wrong, they project the same games for Glasnow and Miller.
yeah. They have
I
them
think
both
that's
at
I think that's kind of
26.
strange. I don't know where they think all of our innings are going to come from, but yeah,
They got
I
quite a
don't
few
think
people here.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think I would be upset if those are the numbers, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, but I'm glad you mentioned that because maybe a little too bullish. There is a legit floor for Bobby, not because of his stuff or his makeup. It's just second year. Any second year player that had a successful rookie year, there's room for regression, and that's the case with him too. Especially with the botted balls. That again, like we are saying, strikeouts versus outs or other ways. The more balls put in play, the more randomness can happen. The more ability for you to give up some more hits, some more runs. So yeah, uh, I think, but we
I will
yeah
say though, I will say though that the strikeouts, like we said, it's important. It's we don't think it's going to jump, to 12 K per nine per game. But I do think that, it's not something where it's like a delivery like with Brewstar.
yeah
It is more about pitch selection and accuracy with the two strike counts and giving up the hits. So I think that that does have the ability to get better. It's not something where like it's a stuff or his delivery.
yeah
There is potential.
yeah
So I think it's important to realize that there is a possibility.
yeah. A lot of hope for Bobby. We took a good amount of time on the top three because they're the most important pitchers on the team, but also because as we go into number four, James Paxton, not much to say about him. You kind of know what you're gonna get, and that is a legitimately solid number 4 or 5 type starter. In fact, for most of last year, his first 16 starts, that's 4 months of baseball for him. He pitched to a 3.3 ERA, 4.0 FFP, more than 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's just a good, solid pitcher. And I said first 16 starts because if you look at his overall ERA, it was a 4.5 because the last 3 starts he was pitching through some knee stuff. He got shelled by Houston, he got shelled by us, and by the Royals. So he ended up with the 4.5, but literally just 3 starts before he was at a 3.34. So I think I actually really liked this signing because we needed a lefty before Kershaw came back. Um, but just generally, the way I like to look at it is that James Paxton is going to give us one half of good baseball and probably be hurt for the other. But by the time he's hurt, we'll have Walker and Kershaw back. So if you put all 3 of their seasons together, I think we're gonna get one just really solid season of pitching. What do you think about James Paxton?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's not too much to talk about. I mean, for one, he's a veteran. We know what we're getting. But for two, I mean, it really is a good signing. Like, I was really happy about it. Really important. I mean, had we not signed him, with Sheehan hurt, Kershaw and Bueller obviously hurt, it would have been real tough. But he's that guy. We can rely on him. Like you said, maybe if it's just for one half, but I mean that's all we need. And I mean, there's nothing really to dive into with the stuff or his velo. Just expect innings and expect results. Pretty good results. And I think it's important a lot of these got like non-ace type pitchers. The final numbers are they kind of balloon up. The ERA kind of goes up, but in a lot of cases, it's because of 3, 4, 5 starts. Which I mean, if you get 30 starts out of them and 22 to 23 are quality, and he can save the bullpen some innings. That's really valuable.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that last point. Going through first 16 starts, again using that sample size, I'm doing a little butter knifing. Only 3 of them were shorter than 5 innings, and half of the 16 were actually 6 plus. So if he's on the mound, he'll give you the innings. I will say it is a little tough projection wise because not fan gaps projections, literally trying to project because he is injury prone, and it's not a glass now major injury, missed a bunch of innings thing. He can go on the IL twice in a season, miss I don't know a month or two, and it wouldn't be a surprise to anybody. So that's it's something we have to account for, and hopefully Sheehan is ready to go by the time in a month or so, because if Sheehan's ready, then we don't even have to worry about it. We can just let James go out there whenever he's healthy, give us 6 innings of 2 run, 3 run ball, and try to win a game. But yeah, James is James. He'll pitch as long as he's alive. If he's healthy and can step on the mound, he will give us like he'll be able to win games. We can win games with him on the mound, and that's all you can ask for from an innings eating vet, which is essentially what he is for us, especially when we're fully healthy. So yeah, we can just get into the projections with him. And ironically, coming from three straight times being like, oh, I don't know about this, he is at 4.14 ERA, 21 games started, 35 games pitched. So they think, yeah, he's actually going to be out of the bullpen at some point. Not impossible. But so 21 starts, 130 innings, 138 strikeouts, 4.14 ERA. Honestly, if you told me he's going to give us that right now, I would take it. I would be fully fine. I'd sign up for it, especially because 130 innings, that'll be valuable to me. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If we get that, we get that. I mean, that I would actually be happy with
Yeah,
that.
I'd be fully cool with that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, not much more to say, James. Go out and do your thing. So from about as sure as a thing you can get when you're on the mound to maybe the opposite, Gavin Stone. He was officially announced as our fifth starter by Dave, good old Dave Roberts. He was brutal last year, like brutal. He pitched 31 innings to a 9 ERA, 31 runs, 8 homers in 31 innings, nearly 2 WHIP. It was tough. It wasn't great. But his minor leagues track record, even like the minors, they were juicing the hell out of those balls when he was in the minors, and he was unbelievably good. He was the Dodgers' number one pitching prospect before he came up for a reason. And I don't know. No, what do you think? What do you think about him? I'll let you go with him.
He's he's definitely not someone I've given up, even in the slightest. No matter how tough last season was, I just think he played himself up too quick because he was so good in the minors. I just don't think he was ready yet, and it's not really something that I can, deep dive into too much. I think it's just like there's a lot of nerves. I mean, he's his first season in the big leagues. I do, and especially a track record like that where I think there's a lot of prospects, just kind of put up numbers. But I mean, he was elite one, so the numbers are there. Number two, I mean, you see the stuff. The changeup is really, to me, one of the best pitches in the whole organization, and that's saying something with the talent we have. I mean, you saw it you saw it in this last game against the Korean team. I mean, it was nasty, and
Yeah.
I mean that pitch alone gives me a lot of belief in him. With him, somewhat similar to Bobby, he just has to come into the shoes like as a MLB pitcher. And it's important that, I mean, when he went back down and all this throughout this whole spring, he's looked like incredible.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys, the confidence would have been shaken after that, after the struggles.
No,
But yeah,
100%.
I think he's in a good position now as the five starter. We're not fully healthy. I mean, he's behind Kershaw, he's behind Bueller, Paxton, and Sheehan, so he still
Yeah.
has a lot of room to develop. And it's exciting to see what we have out of him because there is the possibility he just comes out and he looks great like he has. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him more because I mean the stuff's elite.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
would like to see more. I mean, more of a slider or curve. I think I mentioned it earlier with Bobby how he has the three pitches. I think he needs that other pitch to go for right. I mean, righties do swing and miss with this changeup because it's that good, but I think he needs that pitch, slider or curveball to put him over the top.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I was kind of down on him just overall last year. Not even just performance, just because the Dodgers have had a couple guys come up now. Even Tony Gonsolin, who's legitimately been successful, where it's fastball changeup, and they don't have anything that breaks glove side. It's all just like fastball changeup and like a kind of looping curveball that doesn't really. It's not great. So I was a little just that archetype of pitching I wasn't super high on, but he's fully honed in. And you mentioned getting sent down after a rough time as a top prospect could really like hurt someone's spirit. he's come back with a vengeance. Every report is how focused he was in the off season. He put on 10 to 15 pounds. He came ready to go, and honestly, that just makes me more hopeful for him because I talked about his minor league stats. 2022, he rose 3 divisions. He started in single A, went to double A, and then finished in triple A. And through all of those levels, 1.48 ERA, 121 innings pitched, 168 strikeouts. That is absurd. And even in the juiced ball PCL in 2023, for the times he was down there, it was a 4.74 ERA because he gave up some homers. But it was 100 innings, 120 strikeouts. He's a strikeout guy, and that's something that just we don't have in the minor league system. Well, that's not true. We haven't had because we have a lot of strikeout guys now, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, Gavin's spring stats have been really good. If you include the Korean League pit start, we have 9 innings, 9 strikeouts. That's I was looking at the spring training stat. That doesn't include the Korean League start. I think he pitched 3 innings and had like 7 or 8 strikeouts. He looked dominant, and it's just it's exciting. I think we have a good. He's set number 5 spot. He doesn't have to worry about getting shuffled around, which is another big thing for a lot of young guys. He's fully confident in the role he's going to play, and I'm excited. I'm fully excited for it. So
I
let's
have
go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. Do you think for his role down the year, I mean, hopefully we get Kershaw Bueller back, and then that sets the five. If that happens, the top three stays healthy, where do you see him for the rest of the year and potentially the postseason? You see him as that young guy that throws hard that can kick it out to the pen and be helpful there?
I
What do you think his role?
I think his stuff because in the Korean game, the game in Korea, we saw he was sitting like 96 and he touched 97. I think even 98 once. He um I think he could even be just like a 1 inning guy and just fully let it eat. Like he could be a bona fide reliever for the playoffs, even more than like a long man, because that's where I see Emmett Sheehan more, like a kind of long man role where he's not his stuff doesn't play up crazy, but you can give him some length. I think Gavin Stone's in our best case scenario of pitching where people are healthy going into the playoffs. Gavin Stone is a legitimate 1 inning reliever that's going in and getting big outs. I think he has that type of stuff. Well, where do you see him at the end of the year?
Yeah, I agree. One of the reasons I asked because I'm glad you mentioned Sheehan because there's these pitchers that are these young pitchers. Oftentimes, they fill in for injuries and they kind of they play a big part. And I think there's a prototype kind of like Sheehan, Gonsolin, who like I love those guys. They're really helpful, but Stone is like a different breed than that. Like he like you said, he's a strikeout guy, and strikeouts play in the postseason. So I think having a guy like I wouldn't think of Sheehan or Gonsolin as like a 1 inning guy in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Those guys are more inning eaters at a young age. This guy, I mean, there's potential to be put him against the top of the lineup, 8th inning, 3 righties, he can mow them all down.
yeah,
So I think having that stuff as a young guy and and we're not counting on him to be the fifth guy in rotation the whole year, it's really valuable to me.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, he can have a with less innings, but I think he can have a Bobby Miller type impact, except in the role that Bobby Miller should have had last year as the 5 guy, where and he's not being forced into this idea. But also, just as we're talking about it before we get into projections, you mentioned we're talking about Gonsolin and Sheehan, and I was thinking of our injured list for rotation right now is Walker Bueller, Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, and Emmett Sheehan. We have a legitimate full season starting 5 rotation on the injured list right now. We have a full 10. We can field 2 different teams with the amount of players we have. It's ridiculous. Hopefully, we see some of them soon.
That's crazy because I mean, the probably the worst guy there is probably Gonsolin. He was an all-star a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
it's
The depth in this rotation is unbelievable
it's
in this
ridiculous.
organization, not just
Yeah,
the team.
there's so much. Anyway, so Gavin Stone, this is I'll give some credit or some fairness to Fangraphs. This is before he was announced as the starter because I think they have Sheehan. Yeah, they have Sheehan as having more starts. But They have him making 32 appearances, only 8 games started, but again, these projections are from before he was a starter. Confirmed, I should say. 68 innings, 67 strikeouts, a 4.19 ERA. I think the only thing I'm really looking at, because again, projections are hard to tell. Um, I'm expecting more strikeouts per inning. However many innings he throws, I'm expecting at least over 9. ERA, I'm hoping for lower. Realistically, I would be fine if he gives us a 4.19, because that just shows like such improvement. I would be okay with this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it. I'm more looking at his mannerisms and his stuff and like if it plays rather than numbers because I mean we're not looking for results. We're not like, oh, we need this amount of innings, this amount of strikeouts. I just want to see can he be that guy and show potential and more than like just 1 star or 2 star.
Yeah,
Because I mean he's for the future, not necessarily this season. And if so, for me the biggest thing rather than numbers would be the pitches he can get. Like if he can add a curve or a slider, just to see his pitch mix develop, his control of develop, and things like that, rather than actual numbers. If he puts up a 4.19, I think you said, I mean, and he shows strides, and hey, that's fine.
yeah. My personal challenge slash goal for Stone or thing to watch for is when the first player becomes healthy, probably Sheehan or Bueller. I want him to be good enough to make it a difficult decision. I like right now the expectation is immediately the first guy comes back, Stone's back in the bullpen. I want him to start off the season so well that it's like, do we just trade James Paxton? What do we do with Paxton? Like, I want that to be a conversation. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, that's the rotation. But as you mentioned, a couple names, two really big names and one really intriguing young name. Bueller, Kershaw, and Sheehan, all expected to come back at different times, but 100% they are going to factor into our pitching process for the 2024 season. I guess we could start with Walker. What do you expect from him? These projections are it's hard to tell. I don't even think we need to go over them like the actual projections. What do you hope for from Walker?
Walker, I mean, he has a special place in my heart. I mean, he's my favorite pitcher, and I mean, w- it is. I mean, no doubt, it's tough to come back from TJ, yet alone two. But I still do have faith for him, and I think the most important thing to analyze Bueller is he's not coming back to be the ace. We
Yeah.
got Glass now, we got you for a reason, and we've kind of talked about this off camera. I think if you're the Dodgers, the best scenario is that Bobby Miller is actually the 3 guy because Bueller, I mean, in 2021 he was incredible. I think
Yeah.
he was for sure top 5 in Cy Young. I don't know where he
Yeah,
placed.
it's number 4.
But his strikeout numbers were not that high, and I mean, he is just a master of control and I mean, moxie on the mound. I mean, he and let's say he comes back, his velo is not as high. I think he can still be a very very successful pitcher with control, with contact, with ground balls. I mean, because he has such a deep pitch mix with fastball, cutter, slider, changeup, curve. He has it all. He knows how to pitch, obviously. And it's crazy to talk about him like a veteran because it feels like just yesterday he was throwing
Yeah.
100 straight lucky bets in the World Series. But I mean, the times have changed, and I think he can be productive, give a lot of good innings, and be a great. I mean, if he is somewhat what he was before he got hurt as your 3 or 4 starter, I mean that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is just how does his arm feel? Because if his arm is good to go, then I know he's going to be good because he's just shown us, consistency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think even if the velo is not high, the strikeout numbers aren't there, he can still be very successful. What do you think about him?
Yeah. I mentioned, I think we kind of agreed, Bobby Miller's theoretically the most important pitcher on the rotation. I only say that because I don't want to place the expectations on Walker just because he's coming back from injury. I love him so much. We both do. Like I, he's World Series champ. He's postseason ace. Even when Max Scherzer says his arm's dead and forces Walker to pitch on short rest 5 times and blows his arm up for the next year, he just did it because he's the type of pitcher that he is the ace. Like stuff and performance aside, even though he has both, just the way he is. You said moxie on the mound, like he is an ace pitcher. He has that mentality. He knows how to pitch. He is, and this is a kind of a lazy comparison just because they're both righties with live arms and a nice, cool personality. He is exactly who you hope Bobby Miller can be. Performance aside, just who he is on the mound and how much he understands how to pitch. It's just it's perfect. I love watching him. And you mentioned his velo, 2021, very notably, 2022 especially, but he was pitching through an injury. But he was like 94. Some starts he was starting games like 93, and it was tough. But, and I don't know how I feel about this. I don't even know if you've seen this. Yesterday, he does this podcast with some, I don't know if they're friends, but with people. He does like a weekly or monthly check-in. Yesterday, there was a screenshot that came out, and I checked to make sure he actually did say this. He said in live BP, because he's starting to throw to hitters again, he touched 97. He was like sitting around 96, 97. That would be a game changer. Like, if he is, this is a tough expectation because he was incredible. But if he's around 2021 Walker Buehler, this isn't just, hey, we have a good rotation anymore. It's, we have one of the greatest rotations that have ever been assembled. We're going to have 3 legitimate aces. And obviously, you could hear the excitement in my voice. It's not impossible. But the only thing is, coming back from injury, I don't want to place that expectation. But, I mean, truly, if he's feeling good, like, career ERA, 302 ERA in 700 innings. He's ridiculous. He's a legitimate ace. And I don't know. I just want to see him pitch again. Even if it's different results, I just want to see him pitch again.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that. If that, I mean, that could be one of the biggest things all year if he
Yeah.
returns to that. But like, because when you think of Bueller, you think of, like I said, I mean, those postseason, striking out Mookie, JD Martinez, the Red Sox as a rookie. He is explosive, moxie. I mean, he is the postseason pitcher. Like he is that guy.
Yeah.
So I think the floor, because we don't know coming back from Tommy John. The ceiling is we get that guy if he's really throwing 97. If he's throwing 97, I really feel confident he's going to be that guy again if he throws 97.
Yeah. It changes
But
everything.
there is a floor, and I really, unless his arm just fell apart, which I don't think it did, his floor is not very low. I mean,
No, because he's a smart
we
pitcher. He
we
knows
really
how to
haven't
pitch.
we haven't yeah we haven't seen a bad Walker Buehler. I mean, he is a master pitcher. He's so smart and
Yeah.
he's so confident. So I mean, to me, there's going to be accuracy, there's going to be innings, there's going to be stats. If his arm is as live as it once was, then like you said, we have 3 aces, potentially 4 with Miller, and I mean, it'd be the best, in the league if that's the case.
Yeah.
And
Like,
I'll touch on kind of the whole rotation. I mean,
yeah.
I like to think this. We have 4 our 5 fully healthy. We have 4 guys that can be an ace, and our 5th guy is the greatest pitcher of our generation. I mean, this rotation has an incredibly high ceiling.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the last one to round it out. There's much of question. Sheehan, we mentioned, he's young. I'm really excited about what he can do, but I think he ends up in the bullpen, honestly. If Kershaw is healthy and Stone is pitching well, I think Sheehan's a bullpen guy, and he'll be helpful. But yeah, I don't have too much for him. But you bring up Kershaw. I'll go to projections either way. I know it's tough to tell. Walker, this is the main thing I want to focus on. Projected for 23 starts. If we get that from Walker Buehler, I am ecstatic. I don't even care what the stats are. This one says 4.36 ERA would be by far the worst of his career. I don't think that's going to happen. But if we get 130 innings from Walker Buehler, who's going to miss the first month, I am genuinely ecstatic. And then Clayton Kershaw, the greatest pitcher maybe to ever walk the earth. the greatest pitcher, greatest player in the history of the Dodgers. I love him with all my heart. He's projected to a 3.8 ERA. Not gonna happen. If he's healthy, if he's alive, standing on a mound, he is giving you elite production. That's not even that's not homerism. That's not anything. He is incredible. He will be good again this year. I have no doubt in my mind. Just need to give him as much time as possible to recoup. So yeah, I there's a lot of excitement around this rotation. A lot of excitement, a lot of stuff to get into over the season. But right now, I think we're in a good spot with really high upside, and at worst case, a floor that's decently high as well. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like we said with Paxton, I mean, there's not much to say. There's not much to say about Kershaw for the opposite reasons. He's incredible. I mean, I think, I mean, is it, I mean, I think he has a career three or maybe even sub three or I mean,
Oh,
he's
way under.
incredible.
He was a career long. He has the
Or
lowest ERA.
his career high is like a 3.2,
Oh
I think.
yeah,
I
in
think that's what. Yeah,
2021.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, 3.5.
he's going to have incredible numbers.
Yeah,
It's just give him all the time he needs. There's no rush. I mean, just we should just enjoy watching him pitch while we can. I mean, he's the greatest ever.
yeah. Cherish every
And
moment you get to see him. Genuinely.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to say. 3.8's ridiculous. That's insulting.
Yeah, it's not happening. But yeah, I am thoroughly excited. I think you could say the same, Matt. Thanks so much for watching. We will be back with some more stuff. This will eventually broaden out. You know, LA sports. We're huge Laker fans, huge SC football fans. You know, LA Sports Brotherhood. That's what it's all about. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Peace.